A father's split-second decision saves lives in a Swiss nightclub fire. A teacher leaves behind a 60-year legacy in one school, and Britain's loneliest sheep gets the happiest update. Plus, a canoe rescue in Texas, therapy dogs bringing calm to the courtroom, and a proposal that required a little Shrek-level commitment. It's time for some good news. It's Friday, January 9th, and this is the Feel Good Flyover. Hello and welcome to the Feel Good Flyover. I'm your host, Amy Hess. If you've had one of those weeks where the news felt a little heavy, you're in the right place. Since January is the month of new beginnings, we're doing something new around here too. Today, we're unveiling the same refreshed look you've seen on our daily news podcast, the Flyover Podcast. We're also giving our podcast extra section a facelift too, similar to what many of you already know and love from The Daily Show. We'd love to hear your thoughts. All right, it's time for the good stuff. Let's get ready for takeoff. Here are the top 3 good news stories of the week. We began with a story about instinct, courage, and split-second decisions. A fast-acting father in Switzerland saved 10 teens from a deadly nightclub blaze on New Year's Eve. Paolo Campolo sprinted to the burning ski resort bar in Crans, Montana, after a frantic call from his daughter, whose delay that night kept her from entering the club. With help from a bystander, he broke a back window and pulled the teens to safety through thick smoke and chaos. 40 people were killed, but Paolo's fast response gave others a fighting chance. Now recovering in the hospital, he said he rushed in without hesitation, thinking only of the kids trapped inside. Our next story is about a different kind of dedication, the kind that shows up every day for decades. Glenda Akin taught at Westmoreland High School for more than 60 years, earning a Guinness World Record for the longest career as a female teacher at the same school. Glenda served as a social studies and library teacher from 1963, retiring in September 2024 after 61 years and 43 days of service at the school. The school honored Glenda with a ceremony and renamed its library in her honor, calling her impact, quote, an unforgettable legacy. And finally, Fiona the Ewe, that's EWE, once known as Britain's loneliest sheep, is pregnant with twins just 2 years after being rescued from a remote Scottish beach where she'd been stranded alone for more than 2 years. Her dramatic rescue involved climbers, ropes, and a makeshift sling after viral pleas from animal lovers drew global attention and donations. Since then, Fiona has been rehabilitating at Dalscon Farm, where she has lost weight, received arthritis treatment, and has been successfully bred with a Suffolk ram. The pregnancy is seen as a triumph for both the farm and Fiona, who struggled to reintegrate with other sheep after her time in isolation. Here are a few extra stories just for you, our podcast listeners. First, a homeless man rescued a 22-year-old woman and her 8-month-old baby after their minivan crashed in a Texas bayou. The crash happened around 10 at night when the driver lost control on a bridge, crossed several lanes of traffic, and plunged into the water. Authorities said the man, who lives in a nearby wooded area, witnessed the crash and paddled out in a canoe to pull the mother and infant to safety. Police and firefighters responded shortly after. Both were taken to the hospital and later released without serious injuries. In other news, an Oklahoma mother shared a moment when her 6-year-old son, recently diagnosed with acute leukemia, was rushed to the hospital with chest pain and an irregular heartbeat. As paramedics prepped to transport him, the boy made a simple request. He asked if they could stop at McDonald's. The paramedics checked in with the doctors and received approval. On the way to the hospital, the ambulance made an unscheduled stop so the child could wheel inside on a stretcher and order a Happy Meal himself. She said the small gesture transformed a terrifying night into a lasting memory. Here are a few more quick good news headlines we thought you'd like to know. Our first story is a reminder that kids can be remarkably calm under pressure. Siblings saved a bus driver in Ohio after spotting a medical emergency. Katrina, age 8, noticed something was wrong and alerted her brother Charlie, age 14, who radioed for help while another student called 911. Fortunately, the driver was discharged from the hospital, and she said she had previously taught the students how to use the bus radio and was glad they were listening. Kids aren't the only ones who stay steady in stressful moments. Sometimes help shows up on 4 legs. Therapy dogs from Just Pause, that's PAWS, ease tension at a Canadian courthouse, helping victims and witnesses through stressful trials. The certified canines, think Goldens, Labradoodles, and Greyhounds, sit with people during testimony, court proceedings, and meetings with prosecutors, offering calming support during difficult moments. It not only helps with mental health for those testifying, but it also is helpful for those leading investigations. Calmer witnesses mean clearer testimony. Meanwhile, our next story is one of extreme generosity. Graham Walker, the former owner of Fiberbond, a family factory, gave $240 million in bonuses to 540 employees after selling his Louisiana company for $1.7 billion. He required the buyer to set aside 15% of the proceeds for workers, averaging $443,000 per employee, paid over 5 years. When asked why he did it, he said he is a person of faith, and it was the Christmas season. Talk about a life-changing gift. Next, another big gesture with a whole lot of creativity. A man proposed by editing himself into the animated movie Shrek's wedding scene, surprising his girlfriend during movie night. He spent 5 hours on the edit, then left the room during that scene and returned in the same suit he had on in the video to propose in real life. He later said, "You can only push so hard to insist on watching Shrek without raising suspicion." And finally, a reminder that connection doesn't depend on words. An artist couple, Sarah Jane Parsons, a painter, and Jimmy Turner, a Tony Award-winning dancer, created their own language to communicate. She's paralyzed from the shoulders down, and he's deaf. She paints with a brush held in her mouth, and together they developed a unique mix of sign language and body movements over their 20-year relationship. She said they both love dancing and they make each other laugh. I have to agree, laughter is one of the best ingredients in a long-lasting relationship. Want to see more on any of these stories? We've got them linked in the show notes. Not sure where to find those? Drop me a comment and I'll show you how. Before we wrap up, here's Amy's altitude check. A few of today's stories remind me that the long road can still lead somewhere good. Growth often happens quietly, long before it shows up on the surface. And sometimes faith is simply trusting that God is still at work, even when progress feels slow. If you're still showing up, still healing, still moving forward, even slowly, you're further along than you think. And with that, we've landed this episode of the Feel Good Flyover. Thank you so much for joining me this week for your dose of good news. If you felt encouraged or uplifted, please share the podcast with a friend and be sure you are subscribed so you never miss an episode. I'll see you tomorrow for the Flyover Podcast, the news you need to know without the spin. And we'll see you right back here next week with more feel-good news. Until then, remember to always look for the good.